It's no secret that the road to release for Gotham Knights has been a rocky one. The game was originally slated for 2021 for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Series X, and then it was delayed a year to 2022, and with that delay came the cancellation of the PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game, and then right before release, it was revealed that there is no 60 frame per second performance mode for consoles. And then on top of that, when the embargo was lifted, the game is getting 4 and 5s out of 10s from all of the major outlets for reviewing video games, with a few exceptions who are a bit higher. And so people who were on the fence for this game seem to be drifting away from wanting to purchase it. People are looking at it and hearing that the word of mouth is that it's generally not good or just okay, with a few people saying that it's pretty good. And ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if the game just isn't selling. I do not have the sales numbers in front of me, and I'm sure that there is a pretty big audience for this game regardless, because it is a DC video game. But I would be shocked if it is selling anywhere near what Arkham Knight sold, which was substantially less than Spider-Man PS4. So for a genre of games that they are trying to increase sales for, if Gotham Knights is flopping financially, that does not bode well for the future of the Gotham Knights universe. I wouldn't be surprised if Warner Brothers Games Montreal was put back in the corner of working on Batman Arkham games rather than getting to continue out their Gotham Knights universe, which is clearly a passion project. I think that would be so disappointing. One thing that Gotham Knights is doing so well, as far as I've played, I haven't finished the game yet, but just the lore that they've built into the city, you can tell that there is so much passion and care behind it, and it would be such a shame if they do not get to continue building that out in sequels. So today I'd like to break down what I think it would take to fix the public perception of Gotham Knights, get the game selling, get it flying off the shelves potentially even, and get it into a place where it is making money, put it in that Guardians of the Galaxy corner where initially it doesn't launch great, but over time people start finding it and it starts to find its audience. The first thing, and I mentioned this on Twitter, the first thing that I think needs to be done right now in terms of decision making, the DLC is going to be free of charge. Most, if not all, of the add-on content needs to be free. It needs to be free updates that come every few months for a little bit that include whatever they were planning on including from the get-go. My guess is additional villains. There are only 3 major side villains in the game, which is surprising because they were teasing a lot more in the marketing initially, and then they dropped way off. If they have removed villains from this game in order to resell them later as DLC, they need to just add them in for free. I don't care if it's all at once or if they spread it out over the course of months, but if next month, for example, they said, hey, now Scarecrow is in Gotham City, go find him. And then the next month it was like, hey, now Bane's there too. And then the next month it could be about Hush. And then the next month it could be about Poison Ivy. And suddenly you start seeing Batman's rogues gallery coming out of the shadows. With that, maybe there are more playable characters that you can free roam as. Maybe next month they say, hey, now you can play as Catwoman, or you can play as Cassandra Cain, or you can play as Harley Quinn. She's now a playable character in Gotham Knights. Then you are going to start capturing more people's attention, not because these core 4 characters aren't great, and not because the villains that are in the game aren't great, but because as there is more additional content and more fan favorite content that starts peeking through some of the more monotonous RPG elements, you are going to start getting people's attention. One other huge recommendation that I would have is that I think that they should invest in a prequel DLC where you play as Batman and you can have Joker be the villain. You can bring Harley Quinn back in her earlier years when she was working with Joker. You could bring in Victor Zsasz and Killer Croc and make it a 4 to 5 hour long DLC that gives you another perspective on this universe and gives us a better idea who this version of Batman was. We could even see Jim Gordon in this and see how he interacts with Barbara. We could have Harvey Dent show up and be working with Batman and Jim, and then we could get a DLC in the modern timeline of Gotham Knights where he's Two-Face. I feel like there are ways to turn this game around in terms of how people feel about it. I am personally enjoying what I'm playing, but there are things that I think could be improved upon. Right now, as I've mentioned in my review, it is sitting at about a 7.5 out of 10 for me. I think if they added more villains, if they added a bit more story content, and if they added a few more playable characters, I could see this raising to a 8.5 to a 9 out of 10 for me. I am enjoying the combat, if I'm being honest. I don't mind the traversal. I don't even really mind the grinding elements. I like the length and the longevity and the replayability of Gotham Knights. I think those are all great features, but I think that where many fans, I think, are just feeling let down with what the product is, adding some of those more fan favorite elements might do this game wonders. And I understand that they're trying to take it in a very different narrative direction than we've seen before, but there's a reason that what we've seen before has sold so well. And if that is the goal of this game, to get some financial viability and to lay the groundwork for more games, then I would argue that there is a pretty high incentive to add some of those elements to Gotham Knights to keep players coming back and wanting more, and to show that there is post-launch support happening for this game and that the content being added is very strong. Not just content like, oh, look, there's a new map for our 4-player co-op system. No, I think it needs to be more like new playable characters, new villains that you get to encounter, new story content, some Batman content potentially, and then I think that you will start seeing the public perception of this game start to shift a bit. I also think that if you can, I know that there have been some outspoken individuals about the 60 frames per second being absent from consoles. Maybe see what you can do. I'm not saying it's easy, and I've worked with game development tools and engines in the past, and it is hard. If this game cannot be optimized to 60 frames per second, it just can't be. But it might be worth investing a little bit of time into looking into seeing if it's a possibility for Gotham Knights. I do think that Gotham Knights is a fantastic experience. I do think it's very rough around the edges, though, and I would like to see improvements, and I feel that if they took the post-launch content in the direction that I'm suggesting here, that we would start to see more people gain an interest in this game. But I do feel that a key aspect of this is to not charge an arm and a leg for the DLC. In fact, I would actually argue to release most of it free of charge. The reason I'm suggesting that is because I think that they are having a hard enough time getting people to even want to buy the base game, and people who are buying the base game are having very mixed reactions to it. And so to then expect people to buy the add-on content as well, as of right now, I just don't know that there's much of an audience to pay for DLC, since the base game, I'd imagine, isn't selling very well, unless I'm completely wrong. Again, I don't know. I'm not looking at the sales numbers. Maybe this game is doing remarkably well, and I am completely wrong, and this game is a sleeper financial hit, but that is not what I'm guessing is going on right now, and I just think that to add more value to the base product in the eyes of consumers right now, even though I think it's an underrated game as of right now from the reviews that I've seen from the major outlets, I think that adding some of that content would make the base experience more of a priority for people to purchase, and I just think that that would be the smarter direction to take the post-launch content. Now, they're going to do what they're going to do, but I personally am just looking at this, and I think that going the Avengers route or the Battlefront 2 route or the Assassin's Creed Unity route, where the publisher can look at what has happened with this launch, say, okay, we made missteps in the marketing, we've made missteps with the launch, we've made missteps with our communication with the fans, let's try and even that out a bit by adding more things that these players want to see without trying to charge them for it as well. I think that would be the smartest move. Again, I can't predict what they're going to do. I don't know what they're planning in terms of post-launch content, but those are my thoughts. Thanks you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we will see you guys in the next one.